All right, we are starting our coil pots today. You're gonna have like a paper mat on your table. It's gonna have some clay on it, that's all right. Just brush off any little loose particles. At your table, there is going to be a clay toolbox. In this toolbox, there's a lot of different things that you may or may not use. You might wanna use the sponges. All of these tools, they're texture tools, and we're not really adding texture to our coil pots, so you don't have to worry about these. These two cups are really important. They have water and toothbrushes in them, and they're going to be how we score and slip. And we're going to have to score and slip for every coil that we make. So these I would just remove from the toolbox and share with the neighbor next to you or across from you. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to keep that close by. You should have gotten 3 pieces of clay from me. To start our coil pot, we have to make the base first. And the base is going to be a pinch pot. That's going to make our coil pot really strong. So I'm actually going to take a little chunk of this off. I don't need my pinch pot to be that big. And if you remember, you should have made a pinch pot in 1st grade. If you remember, we have to roll it into a ball first. So I just like to tap my edges, and then I kind of put it in between my palms, and I kind of just squish and roll. You can always use the table. It wants to make like this diamond shape, so that's why I use my fingers to squish it. But you want it to be a sphere. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then, because this part has like a little mark in it, that's where I'm going to stick my thumb. I'm going to push my thumb in, but not all the way through. And then using my thumb and my 4 fingers, I'm going to pinch and turn, pinch and turn. And sometimes I can get my other hand in here to pinch and turn. You can see it's starting to make this really nice base for us. Now, I don't want to squeeze it too thin. I might have gotten it a little too thin right there. You want to keep it about the width of your pinky. So I'm actually going to tip it over and kind of tap it so I can see. Oh, that's not bad. I want these flat for when I start to attach. And then I'm going to kind of drop it a little bit too. It's okay that my pinch pot is actually really flat. Some of yours might be. Some of yours might have a little more depth. But now I'm ready to start adding coils. So this is my base. Excellent. I'm going to set that aside. Now, when you're rolling a coil, the biggest thing, like I'm going to take half of this, I'm not just going to start rolling it right now. It has a lot of like straighter edges. I always like to squeeze it a little bit with my fingers to just kind of round it out a little. And then to roll, do not use your fingertips. Use the palm of your hand. And make sure your rolling starts at the front and goes all the way to the palm. So I need some room. I better move some things out of my way. I'm rolling all the way through. And once you get a good rhythm, you can start to move your hand back and forth. Sometimes if your coil gets big enough, you might need both hands. Now this looks about the width of my pinky. I could maybe make it just a little smaller. That's a great coil. What typically happens is when friends are rolling coils, they don't roll all the way through. They just go here and just go back and forth. So just notice the difference. All the way. That takes up a lot of space. All the way through, all the way back. That's the way you want to roll a coil. Or if you just sit here and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, what happens is my coil, see how it's starting to flatten? Because I'm only pushing it on 2 sides. So let's move this one. I can fix it. I'm gonna roll all the way through, all the way through. You're using just a little bit of pressure, moving my hand. I'm Now, this is where you're going to have your plan and you can see what kind of coils you use and where you put them. We talked about how your plan can change. That's totally fine. I'm going to attach just a regular coil first. So to do that, I want to see if this is big enough. It is. I'm going to overlap it. And then I'm going to use, let's see, where is that? It's kind of like a cutting tool, and I'm just going to kind of cut through right there. I might take it off actually and cut through. Take off this little piece, and attach these together. Now I can't just squish them together. This is where I have to score and slip. And the toothbrush does both for us. When we use the toothbrush and we just rough it up a little bit, and it already got it wet, and then I'm going to squish them together, kind of wiggle them. I might smooth out the coil so you can't even see where I attached it. And then I'm going to attach it to here, and I have to do the same thing. If your brush gets too wet, just kind of wipe it off on a paper towel, but I'm going to rough up the edge on my pot, and then I'm going to rough up the bottom of this coil, and I'm going to attach it. And when I attach it, I'm kind of wiggling them both together just to make it more secure, and I'm pressing down. And that's my first coil. This is probably as far as you're gonna get because cleanup takes a little bit longer. So my coil pot's looking good. I still want to save these coils that I made and this folded piece. And so what you're going to need, you're going to get a plastic bag, and you're going to have a piece of paper towel that's already wet. It's not soaking wet, but it has some moisture on it. You're going to go ahead and first on your bag, write your name and your class code. There's already a name on there, cross it out and put your name below it. And then you want to carefully, because we've already been working hard on these, set this all the way into the back of the bag. Take any extra clay that you have, especially if you've already made a coil, like I've already made a fold coil. So I want to take that, put it in here. And then this wet paper towel, it doesn't need to touch anything, but I'm going to set it in here in the corner because it's just going to keep moisture in my bag. And then I'm gently going to push and try to get as much of the air out as possible. Close it shut, pick up the pot, kind of tuck it underneath, and this is going to go into a plastic bin until next class period when we are ready to continue building.